Champ Select. Interested to see what Glacier Ascent have done with their bit of a long break that they've been on. It's been a couple weeks since they've played. And Baggy Pampers, they have played 2 times already this week. So they'll be looking to go 3-4-3 and round things out very nicely, and also get complete control of the standings, first place within the Hardwire division. But they've got work to do. They got to get past Glacier Ascent, who would love to play spoiler to them. As we want to thank you all for joining us today on this lovely Saturday. Nice and relatively early game for us. As the band's coming out, Scion going to be taken away from Baggy Pampers. They want to take away Silver's, one of Silver's tried and true champions, that reliable tank in the top lane. Udyr Janna going to be taken away from Glacier Ascent. They signaling maybe that they want to avoid some of the kind of disengaged jungling power combination there. Janna, typically a champion that gets drafted into dive comps to make sure that there's not easy follow-up on to Squisher members. So BP perhaps signaling that they would like to draft a little bit of dive. Glacier Ascent, let's see if they're able to pick up on that, or what draft adaptations they want to make as time goes on. BP, they've been very, very impressive so far within the division. They played incredibly well. Some sloppy moments, but their team fighting has been outstanding. And they are by far, I think, for most people that have been watching, the heavy favorites to win this division. Obviously nothing is set in stone, but with 4 wins, that gives them a pretty healthy margin, especially when they go into their latter half of the split. And so they only need, I think really they lock it in. I actually think for sure lock in playoffs just with the number of games that they have left. So there's no way for them to get enough losses, assuming that they win this series, for them to get knocked out of playoffs. So and just as a reminder, only the top 4 teams from every division make it towards their divisional playoffs. The BP, I think they will have this well in hand, relatively speaking. Jarvan going to be the selection there for the Baggy Pampers. So already getting that dive kind of started off with. Jarvan going to be a really good champion to get onto the backline champions that Glacier Ascent will be wanting to draft. Corki, a decent answer, at least conservatively, as an ADC pick in response to the Jarvan. Does have some movement ability with the Valkyrie to get to safety, kind of reposition and make the Jarvan miss with the Cataclysm. But that's really kind of all he's gotten. That outside of the base summoners that he's going to have, he can be a little bit vulnerable to any follow-up that the Jarvan might have. And I like that their further indexing is Glacier Ascent, understanding that that's kind of Jarvan's whole shtick, is he wants to get on the back lane, so they're going to draft the Wukong to provide a little bit more appeal and to get some engage of their own. Side, Wukong has been, I think, one of the staple picks within the Hardwire division and just within TLS as a whole. It's a great champion in terms of making sure that you've got coverage for ganking, that you've got coverage for team fights. It does pretty good damage. It's very tricky to lock down. Obviously not the tankiest champion in the world, so it's not like another bruiser jungler that you might try and draft, but it is really good in terms of just direct access to an ADC or a mid laner. So we'll see how Glacier wants to kind of continue the draft and what they want to pair along with the Wukong. Because I do think you need a little bit more complementary dive with him. You want something that can kind of follow up on his engage. Baggy Pampers, they're going to lock in their bot side duo already, and it's going to be matched by Glacier Ascent. Braum Ezreal, I like that combination. Fairly stock standard, just plenty of protection for the Ezreal in terms of making it difficult to lock him down, eliminating easy follow-up, and then giving Ezreal a lot of space to play with. And then also Ezreal, traditionally a very tricky ADC in and of itself to lock down, just because with the Arcane Shift, it's even better reposition tool than Valkyrie on Corki. But Glacier Ascent, their drafting of the Nami is going to give them a little bit of power in that bot side. Corki, having access to the Gatling gun kind of makes pushing a little bit easier, and the trades on the Ezreal not the worst, especially with having access to the Phosphorus Bomb and then the rockets. You can start to push out a little bit heavier once you get towards the latter part of that laning stage. I will say, though, that the Nami into the Braum feels a little bad for that Nami Corki side, just because as long as Braum is kind of Johnny on the spot with the Unbreakable Shield, then Nami ulti really isn't all that useful. And then also, additionally, there's some additional coverage in blocking the Corki rockets. So that's something that ADCs can kind of just wait out. You just wait for the Braum shield to go down, and then you start spamming the rockets again. But at least initial engage-wise, Braum would be very useful in stopping the Nami tidal wave and the CC chain that can set up. Final bans for Baggy Pamper. They want to take away the Galio, signaling that maybe there's something Glacier Ascent has played in potentially a scrim or in their previous games that they just don't want to see in terms of blocking their champions. Galio is traditionally that very nice anti-mage pick in the mid lane where it's got a lot of survivability, it's got great team fighting, and you can kind of just ignore mages as you go into the late game. Decent mix of damage for BP right now, obviously with Ezreal Jarvan, so kind of spreading that out a little bit in terms of the types of damage they've got. Glacier Ascent right now still heavy AD, but they'll look to fix that with a AP mid laner here, surely. As Cho'Gath going to be their tank top lane pick, so giving themselves some late game scaling, quite a bit of heavy frontline. Nope, last minute switch to the Malphite, okay. So a little bit of extra dive to go along with the Wukong. I like that. I like that duo setup, especially the top jungle mixture there. So it makes ganking both top and mid very, very easy, especially once Malphite reaches level 6. You have a lot of knockup, a lot of damage with the Wukong Cyclone, and so interested to see how they'll want to build this Malphite, whether or not they just go straight tank or whether or not they try and go a mix of AP, but they've got a lot of options there. I do like this answer from BP. The Sylas, a great pickup, especially given the ultimates that are already available on Glacier's Ascent side. So Malphite Unstoppable is going to feel really good. Wukong Cyclone is going to be really good for Sylas. And so this will also make Glacier Ascent a little bit more wary of what they want to pick up in the mid lane. So you want to avoid trying to give anything too crazy to Sylas. But you can look to pick up a bully matchup. Is Yorick going to round out their draft for BP in the top side? It would be, I think, strange if Glacier Ascent wanted to try and flex this Malphite to the mid lane. It's not impossible. But I think would be awkward into the silo, so I think they want to avoid that. So this should just be the top lane pick here. As Aurora going to be that potential top lane answer into the Yorick. But there's only one way to find out how those individual matchups will go, how the team matchups will go, and how this series will start to pan out. We're on to the Rift. Game number 1, BP versus Glacier Ascent. BP sitting at a nice 3-0. Glacier Ascent, they got a lot of ground to make up. They haven't played in a while. And hopefully that break for them will have netted them some decent time as far as going back to the drawing board and making sure that they're set for the next couple of weeks of competition. As both of these teams not going to get super crazy in the early game. A lot of teams kind of sticking to this fairly standard setup as far as kind of just early scouting out shallowly into the river and then kind of going back to the lane. It's just one of those changes to the game as far as the minions kind of coming out earlier. It's made it difficult to look for some of those plays, and you're seeing cross-map jungling is, sometimes you see it in certain series, but it's not as prevalent. Both those mid laners wasting no time in getting busy with the damage. But the early game is, I think, just so heavily figured out in terms of the game and the meta and how it's shaped up that a lot of teams aren't willing to risk things. This BP. I do like them potentially allowing GA to just go ahead and push into them. Like, Braum and Ezreal doesn't really have to allow that to happen, but it's better for them if they do. Just ensures them additional safety and so that they don't have to worry about the early ganking for the Wukong. But I don't expect super, super early ganks from either of these jungles towards the bot side. Is Silver already getting some pressure on the top side? The reason I don't expect it is because both these junglers, they want to kind of get their heads down and get to level 6. Jarvan does have oh my god, decent setup with the flag and drag to get knock-up on the targets, but it's better if you have the Cataclysm to commit to, so that way you have extra lockdown onto a champion. Oh, even as I say that, though, the hacker wants to make me a liar, is looking for the flag and drag. Again, that was what we were talking about, being too far flashed up, and will get both flashes out of Glacier and Arya, who's going to get stunned up. Glacier trying to get underneath the turret, but one auto would do it. The hacker flashes out, but it's a 1-for-1 the turret. Manages to pick that one up. But first blood goes over to Jarrell. And they'll be happy to walk away with that one. And didn't get much of a chance to stick to that point because the Jarvan instantly finding that timing on rotation. But that's what we were highlighting earlier is, if you're a little too aggressive in the pushing power and you're too far forward without vision, you're just inviting that jungle to come down and gank you. And with no vision set up, and because really there was no time to place the vision, that was just the clear signal for the hacker to come on up there and set that gank up. Maybe didn't need to pursue so heavily under the tower, even with the heal coming out from Arya. The Corki was always going to go down there, so I don't necessarily think that Hacker needed to step up that far forward into the turret range, but obviously just wanted to make sure that the kill got secured and wasn't, I think, necessarily worried about going down as long as the first split but over to the Ezreal. So not the worst trade in the world for them. And it'll be a nice little sword and tier start for Jarrell, who'll be happy to get that stacking right away as Silver. My God. Already being obnoxious in this top side. Rob's having to walk all the way away from the wave. And honestly, kind of what we expect there. Yorick into champions that don't have an easier time skirmishing. Kind of just has that perma pushing power with the ghouls. And that passive is great in the 1v1. And that's a lot of what we've seen out of Silver, honestly. You know, across all 3 series that they've played is just him being on an island and making people suffer and really signaling to the team, like, hey, I don't need a lot of resources. You know, every now and then, you know, come up here, just show your face to make sure that the other enemy jungler's not here. And as long as we're doing that, we'll be fine. And I think that speaks volumes to the confidence that BP has in their top laner, knowing that they can leave him out there and that he's going to play smart. He's not going to be too aggressively in pushing where he doesn't have information, and then just not only that, but then just winning the skill matchup, which is half the battle. Because it's one thing to have the game smarts, but you got to have the hands. You know, you can be as knowledgeable as anybody else in the game, but if you don't know how to play your champion to the fullest extent and, you know, kind of play it on that razor edge and get the most out of it, then it really doesn't matter how isolated a matchup it is on the top side. So it's an equal mixture that we're seeing out of Silver, having great knowledge and also having the hand stuff. And I think that's kind of a big part of BP just in general, is the hand stuff that they have. And even in moments where they make some mistakes, you know, maybe sometimes they overextend, maybe sometimes they get a little too ahead of themselves, but they don't let a play develop all the way. Their team fighting is always able to seemingly get them out of trouble. I don't think that we'll necessarily see a whole lot of that change. Ooh, Death Star misses the second change. Wanted to land that on a QWERTY. Was not able to. Hacker and Joker just trading a little bit of health bars, but it was always going to be Hacker having to leave there because Aurora with that shove in the mid lane means that it's going to be extra prio there. But that is going to prevent the Wukong from being able to get any kind of early drag started, which I think is good for BP because they're happy to sit here in the scale. They're not necessarily too worried about trying to collect a bunch of kills in the early game. They got a Yorick who will eventually become almost an unmanageable split push threat. And then at some point, GA is going to have to find an answer for as Death Star goes into the ultimate. Already used the weirding to go invisible there just for a moment. Is going to now pop the ultimate of his own. Ignite going to come down. Baby Josh trying to run to protect his mid laner. Just took a little bit of coverage. The Ignite, not enough to knock him down. QWERTY now will be knocked up and exhausted. Wants to try and get over the wall and commit the flash, but will manage to do so. I thought maybe for a second would not. And Dread Joker going to get stunned up as well. Should be able to walk this out, though. Not enough health bars, not enough lockdown, as neither jungler had level 6. So trade of summoners, trade of health bars, but ultimately everyone walks away alive. And Death Star will just teleport back towards this mid lane after he completes his buy. And then we'll just continue back to what he was doing. I will say, though, QWERTY got a nice little CS lead there. A little bit more than 20 right now. That doesn't mean a whole lot in terms of the early game right now, but obviously the longer that laning phase goes, the more difficult it will be for Death Star to kind of break out of that if he's not able to trade and get kills, because Aurora just will have an easier and easier time farming. And especially once the junglers get a little bit more time to rotate and get involved with the game, then Death Star will have to be aware that he's under more threat. However, I do think the flash is not as important on Death Star as it is QWERTY on that Aurora. I think even with access to the ultimate to bounce to the other side of it, you still need to be wary as the Aurora of the amount of lockdown and the on-demand CC that BP has just kind of at their fingertips. And so we'll need to be careful about the next 3 or so minutes, understanding that that summoner spell is gone, and it is a vulnerability that BP would like to punish. I think it's harder to lock down Sideless, which is why I'm not so concerned for Death Star, who has also proved like multiple times that he's able to outplay ganks and get to safety. And even sometimes actually turn them around to at least walk away with a kill if he's not able to get out to safety completely. Death Star not quite finding the second chain applications, but the more you throw that ability out, the more times you have to hit it. So you miss all the shots you don't take, and Death Star certainly not worried about not taking shots. The grubs are going to be spawning in about 25 seconds. We'll see if either of these junglers want to make a rotation up there. I think it will be a trade of objectives one way or the other, so whoever goes to grab the grubs or the dragon will lose the opposite side objective. Not aggressive vision on either objective, though, so it's possible that either jungler could sneak one. Right now, I'd have to say the GA's in a little bit of a better spot just with the pressure that they have in mid and bot. Even though BP is pushing that bot side, it's just inviting a gank. And Dread Joker's going to be here. He has level 6, but the Hacker's here first. However, his health bar rapidly depleting. Second cast of the Cataclysm, sorry, of the Cyclone. Locks down 2. They slay Hacker and a Baby Josh. So the jungle support for BP going to go down, and that will mean the rotation over to the objective. And with Hacker being dead, that means that they won't be able to go and trade for the grubs, at least not right now. He will be respawning, but it's going to be a little bit of a run out for them to get it. Actually, might be able to get it. This Dragon not going down super fast. Let's see if Dread Joker wants to run out there and try and contest for that. It would be a little aggressive, I think, but not impossible. Because the Hacker is going to want to stop and pick up these buffs. Nope, he's just going to skip the buff. He's going to go straight over to the grubs. So, all right. And BP, they do drop 2 kills down there, but at least they're going to be able to pick up the grubs. And a good pickup for them, given the fact that they have Silver on the Shorik. So Silver will be happy to have that additional pushing power onto the turrets. It'll feel pretty nice for him. Something interesting to note, even though those 2 kills did go down on the bot side, this is the first blood gold, and the passive pushing gold that Silver has been building on that top side is kind of keeping that gold basically dead even. It's just a couple hundred, so it's not a lot to write home about. The real kicker will be if Dread Joker could get down there again and re-gank Jarrell and Baby Josh. But they have the summoners back up now, so that'll be a little bit more difficult. But it's just, it's been this whole concept of how far you want to step forward. Ooh, Death Star managed to land the change through the minions. Sneaky little connection there. As Rob's continuing to have a very unfun time underneath this turret as he's just getting beaten up by ghouls while trying to clear his wave underneath the turret. And Silver, who has been left to his own devices, this is a game stat win for him. Loves the current state up there on that top side. Loves being left to his own devices. I'm curious now where the Hacker wants to try and set up a gank, just because he's been a little bit on the back foot in terms of trying to get set up there. Ooh, Baby Josh getting chunked out just a little bit there, but just throw the shield to block some of that extra damage. Those rockets from Corky, they hurt even in the early game. Take stock of the lanes. Top side very heavily going towards Silver's way. Jungle basically dead even in the mid lane. That's going to be the opposite trade there as that CSD continues to grow. And then the bot side basically dead even. It's a little bit of a CS lead for Giraffe, but not a lot to write home about. So far, a relatively quiet early game for both these teams. I think they kind of know the stakes of this one. BP very, very heavily favored to win this series, but just because the odds are on you does not mean that you are guaranteed to win a game. GA, they would love to stop BP's little undefeated run right now. It would be a nice little feather in their pocket. But you got to earn that feather. Good wording by BP to spot out Dread Joker on that lane brush, potentially looking for a lane gank there, but it does make sure that the Monkey King gets spotted out and is not allowed to get anything crazy done. Oh, interesting. Hacker, he wants to stop this back. They're pinging very, very heavily on him. They want to try and kill him. In fact, they will. Robs uses the Unstoppable to get away. And Hacker not able to use another flag and drag. That Cataclysm probably should have been committed after. But once he used the flag and drag to get on top of the Malphite, there was not going to be another chance really as long as he had the ultimate. The Hacker now going to walk his way out of there. Cordy committed the ultimate. Teleport going to be channeled by the Malphite. Silver wants to try and walk out. Dread Joker going to commit the Cataclysm. Flash out from Silver. Dread Joker gets the second cast of the ultimate, but now he's out. Silver lives with just a sliver of health. Both teams agreeing to walk away, but F-Star says he's not done with this one. Knocks down Cordy, wants to lock down Dread. The Hacker, a little bit of a follow-up, but now they've evened up the kill count. GA overstated their welcome just a little bit in that top side. No turret to get under, and that was a signal for Death Star and Co. to go right back in. This is why we've been talking about Baggy Pampers mid laner so heavily. What he brings to this team, just the pressure, the play style, the thematics. He's poetry in motion, as some might say. And now champion like Silas, which kind of enables his play style. It's difficult to win some of those skirmishes when you have a player that's just that good on a champion that's that capable. And Silver continuing to collect play. He's like a little Hoover vacuum, just going up and collecting passive gold. He's already got that Triforce complete at 13 minutes. He has grabbed himself a Null Magic Mantle. And just to make sure that he's not getting affected by any passive magic damage being generated by QWERTY. And QWERTY now trying to get away from the man who was formerly imprisoned by Demacia and is now no longer. Not sure what Aurora has to do with any of that, but he's looking for all kinds of magic. Ooh, the hacker does have Flash, doesn't have access. So does now actually have access to the Cataclysm, but this is a man disadvantage. BP, are they going to be able to sniff this out? This bot side Glacier very much under pressure. Arya, ooh, gonna span the dancing mode on him. Robs has joined his team. Dread Joker gonna steal away some chickens. The hacker doesn't know he's on the wrong side of this one. They're a little bit split now. He's gonna get potentially locked down. Wants to try and walk out. Is it gonna be any follow for BP? Are they just going to sacrifice the jungler? They don't, as he blows the flash. QWERTY jumping forward is not able. Oh, sorry, rather, hacker's not able to get to safety as QWERTY picks that one up. So a kill given over for plates in the top side. Silver, will he be able to get this whole tower? That wouldn't be the worst trade in the world for BP. Yes, it's giving a second dragon, but honestly, I don't really think you care if Silver gets this tower. Its second turret already down. All that solo gold going on to Silver would be not a great feeling for GA. Is Nami going to get turned into a sushi platter. Arcane and chopped up. Dread Joker. Flash forward to get the first confirmation of the Cyclone, but won't be able to get the second one. Not able to lock down either bot laner for BP, and so we'll just have to walk on out of there. As Silver does get, in fact, that second turn on the top side. He's a very, very rich man. He is the entirety of BP's gold lead right now. There's not enough significant gold as QWERTY just continuing to get bullied underneath his own tower. And Silver on this York is going to quickly reach a point where he's going to take multiple people. It's going to take multiple people to respond to him. And if you're GA, I think, honestly, you're going to start to get a little bit nervous of how much alone time Silver's had. Again, talking about a guy that doesn't need a lot of resources, just kind of goes where he wants, does what he needs to do. Silver has just not really needed to get too heavily involved in these plays. It's just been passively involved in the kills on the top side, but wasn't really necessarily looking for the fight. It's just like, there's a fight happening. I'll participate in it, but really, I'm after minions and I'm after turret gold. He is by far the richest person on the Rift right now. He's just been collecting turret plates, top and mid. And I was going to go bot side and try and collect a few more. And I think even in the 1v2, I think Glacier and Arya, they really don't want anything to do with this York. He has a lot of kill pressure right now. He's completed tier 2 boots. And he's going to be getting that pickaxe going. Interested to see what he wants to build with that. There's a couple of interesting items he could go. But might just be looking to build pushing just damage to turret items. A Hull Breaker. It would be interesting to see a Silver build a Hull Breaker. I don't think he would, but I could be wrong. Hull Breaker is kind of that niche item where it's like if you build it, you are 100% committing to not being involved in team fights. And speaking of turret pushing power, getting that Herald would be nice for BP to get even more turret pushing power. They'd like to be able to knock down that turret in the mid lane, as the Silver is just going to collect this turret at some point soon. And so they're going to grab Herald, and they can look to place that in the mid lane. But I'd like to have them wait to do it. I think they should wait until the next dragon comes up before they start to try that, just because it would give them extra pressure, that someone would have to go mid to respond to that. And then also it would coincide with the time that Silver probably will get this bot side turret, so they get a 2 for nothing play with that Herald, and then they could pressure around the dragon and just kind of set up early. So I think just be conservative with how they want to play it, unless they want to group as 5 mid to go take the mid turret. But I think that would be kind of a waste with how strong Silver is right now. I think it'd be better for them to just stack 3 in the mid lane, pop the Herald, rotate towards the river to cut off your rotation. So speaking of cutting off rotations, Hacker, he's going to be trying to cut off Glacier's rotation, but does get CC'd up as the wave going to come down to buy him a little bit of space. A little bit of shielding for now, but Glacier's able to knock him down. Baby Josh might be the next sacrificial lamb. As the bot side turret goes down, Silver isn't here, but Death Star is. He wants to try and get another couple kills of his own. Shutdown goes over to Aurora, and QWERTY now wants to see if they can collect another one. Death Star gets underneath the turret, no further follow-up. there for Glacier Ascent, but they win that team fight. Oh, Death Star takes the chains back in. That maybe didn't connect the way he wanted to. Steals the wave and throws that out. Robs flash forward and the Unstoppable to try and knock down Death Star, but he goes underneath the turret. But that's not where you want to be. Death Star takes that free donation, and Silver takes the donation of even more planes, as multiple people from GA are now going to have to get the hell back to base, because Silver is collecting yet another turret. He's the real estate man, knocking down property and turning it into liquid money. This man is swimming in gold. It's like that Donald Duck meme, or not the Donald Duck meme, but the Scrooge Duck meme, where Scrooge just goes to dive into a pile of coins and is just swimming in it. Well, that's Silver right now. He's kind of just swimming in the extra cash that he's gotten by just being Yorick. I wonder what his taxes would look like if he had to pay tax on all that gold. Can you imagine the tax burden? Excuse me, sir. You owe the government of Riot 5 million gold pieces for all this gold you've acquired on the Rift. And I'd be curious to see what the difference in gold lead versus him versus the rest of GA. And I wonder, I'd like to see what this overall gold lead is from him, because it might be close to one of the strongest individual gold leads we've had in the entire season across all 3 divisions, with just how much passive gold is getting. And right now for GA, they're kind of stuck in a little bit of a smaller, more sucky version of hell, because they have to stack as 5 in order to make sure that they're getting winning fights against BP right now. But doing so is just allowing Silver to kind of go wherever he wants us. I'm not sure that Baby Joss wanted to be the one piloting the Rift Herald there, but they will smash it into the mid lane turret. It doesn't go down, so at least for the time being, a small bastion of safety for them to play around if they need to retreat. Is this Dragon going to be the next thing on the menu that these guys want to fight for? This mid and bot wave is going to be pushing. Dread Joker has a very nice angle here, but he is going to get spotted out by the hacker, so won't have a chance to flank around them. His position is going to get tagged. He needs to be careful, because now they might try and engage on him. Dread Joker uses the Cyclone, but gets killed over the wall. The Cataclysm was committed at the wrong spot, but it didn't matter. And now BP, they've eliminated a huge part of the engage for Glacier Ascent. Cube now trying to run away from Death Star, who has gotten access to his ultimate. Throws it down, pops. It's 1-for-1 ult, and they both go flying away from each other like ring wrestlers in the WWE ring. As it's a body slam off the high ropes, they go flying away. But ultimately, only the jungler drops for GA, but the dragon stabbing? I mean, there is a bunch of stabbing going on towards the dragon. The stacking is momentarily stopped for them. Is BP now going to try and lock down this mid lane turret. Silver going to be left to his own devices, still in the bot side. This annoying presence for BP, just constantly applying pressure. And for GA, they're reaching the point now where they're going to start to struggle to even win the team fights, which is where they were strong a few minutes ago, but now not having that advantage anymore, and they're down a significant amount of gold. It's 5k, and it will continue to balloon as long as Silver continues to split push and is not answered. And for GA, this is going to get a little bit more complicated too, because you don't have a great way to answer Silver. You have to send a couple of people. You have to send at least 3. It has to be Dread Joker. It has to be Cube, and it's going to have to be Glacier to deal with that Yorick. I don't really think you want to send too many more people, because then if you overload too heavily on one side and send 4 people, or God forbid 5, then that's just a signal for BP to go take a Baron or something. Or even possibly set up more aggressive vision in that whatever side Silver's not, they'll set up more aggressive vision on the other side and look to get some picks. And for GA, I want to see them more aggressively group as 5, and I want to see them kind of be on the same page in terms of their shot calling, and they need to be looking to try and knock down Jarell or Death Star. If they're going to try and pick these team fights, you really don't have much of a chance to knock down Silver if there's 5, so you want to pick some of these squishier members. When I say squishy as Death Star can be on a Silas, which is to say not very, but, you know, give everybody enough time and eventually he'll die. It's kind of that idea of the peasant railgun. If you give peasants a rock and they transfer it fast enough, it becomes a peasant railgun. An unholy mark. All right, BP, they're making this aggressive call. Actually, great timing to make this too. Lack of vision for GA means that they're not going to be able to see this going down. Death Star is available with Silver very heavily pushing. They're not necessarily that this is going to be a possibility that they're going for the Baron. Squirty has to use the ultimate just to get as much space away from Silver as possible. And meanwhile, Ping's coming down. Death Star is going to chain up Dread Joker to make sure that the Wukong's presence is marked. Arcane Barrage is going to come over the side. And now, unfortunately, GA realized too late that this is going, and Baggy Pamper's going to walk away with a big purple worm buff. They're going to reset, and now Silver, this is going to go bad to worse for GA because the Yorick, which you already don't have an answer for, is now wearing Baron buff. GA, they just have very little safety to work with. Oh, Arya, uh-oh, this is not where we want to go. Gets locked in the baby cage, getting beat up by the minions, goes down. And honestly, respect to Arya for not committing the heal, not for committing the flash. There's just going to be no way out of there. The follow-up from GA to get her to safety was just not going to be there. So I respect the discipline. Just save it for later. You'll have an opportunity potentially to make a play. Don't die to the Yorick that's... don't use it against the Yorick that's always going to be able to lock you down. But unfortunately for GA, even though it is just a support, this means that they're not going to be able to really do anything about this constant push that BP are committing across the map. They are going to try and do something, though, and potentially lock down Death Star. Cyclone going to committed, but remember, Death Star is not the easiest guy to lock down on this Silas, and does, in fact, use the Aurora Ultimate to get himself to safety, bounces back over the wall, and now Dread Joker is just going to have to find somewhere else to be because he didn't get to use the second cast of the Cyclone, which will mean no follow-up. That will mean no death of the Silas. It will mean no temporary reprieve on that top side as Death Star is continuing to make himself a nuisance and just passively apply the Baron buff damage to these towers. 40 Cube, though, has tried to lock himself in a 1v1 against Death Star, and the hacker will punish him very, very heavily for that. And GA, they're going to try and find something here. There's multiple pings coming down to the bot side. They're rotating for Silver, though. He's just going to be able to walk out. This is not a great call for GA. You're pursuing this Yorick at the cost of the entirety of your base. This is going to be the play that loses you the game, as GA... their base is going to be in shambles now. It's still Baron-powered minions for the next minute. There's going to be a double inhibitor going down. They're trying to channel recalls now, but this is, I think, ultimately the cost of it. I think that was the wrong play. They should have just let Silver go. I really, really don't agree with that shot call there. It was never going to be worth it. There wasn't even anything to play for after. There's no dragon available. You know, they didn't instantly rotate that over, and now their base is constantly going to be under threat. Silver won't be up in time for this dragon. He'll be a little bit late to the play, but honestly, I don't think that BP necessarily need him right now. They did a lot to get those two inhibitors, which just means that GA is going to have to be very cognizant of that when they try and step out for the base, because there is a nice little ward there. If you see it just between the mid and the bot lane where those turrets are or were, there's a little ward kind of just hanging out right there, and I'm not sure what GA's shot call is going to be here right now, because you're not going to be able to get over to this dragon without suffering a significant other threat. And that teleport, though, from Silver, not going to be used to get towards the base. Instead, will get down towards that bot side and start to shove that wave. At 40, I'm not sure if he's just clearing that Gromp or was trying to hide out there, but does get spotted on the ward. And now he's going to be in quite a bit of danger. He's going to try to get to the side, but it doesn't matter. Knocked up, slapped around, sent to the fountain. All right, BP, is this what you need to close it out? Let's see. You got 5 alive. You got a very healthy minion wave. This is going to be your third inhibitor, so that means that double stacking super minions will be pouring into the base. GA, it potentially looked promising in the first couple minutes, but now they've got to make a heroic stand of the base as the first Nexus tower going to fall. They're kind of floating back around in the turret. You're going to have to make the call at some point, and in fact, they do. They're trying to get on multiple members, but Baby Josh does a really good job of blocking a lot of that damage. And now Dread Joker just wants to see if they can knock down one. They do manage to get the Silas, but it doesn't matter. Silver putting the damage into the turret, grabs the first win for BP. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting ready to get into draft game number 2. Baggy Pampers, they are continuing their winning ways with this first win over Glacier Ascent. GA, they need to go back to the drawing board, need to figure out a way to get into this series and put a stop to what Baggy Pampers have been doing, because my God, somebody's got to stop these guys eventually, right? A bunch of teams have been taking a crack at them, and no one's been able to do it yet. So GA, they're going to try and do what almost kind of feels like it's, almost feels what is impossible to do, given how well BP have been playing. But no one is out of the series until it's over. Nothing is said and done until the Nexus explodes. Is Udyr and Janna going to be the same bans from Baggy Pamper as last time? Scion and Neferi also being taken away. Glacier Ascent, they do not want to see Silver on that champion, and they're going to have to try and pinch his pull a little bit harder, knowing that for sure either he or his mid laner Death Star are going to be getting that counter pick. And so honestly, this becomes a little bit harder for Glacier Ascent. I think them having first pick on blue side doesn't do them any favors. It's going to make it harder for them to try and lock down one of those standout players from the side of BP. And as much as Death Star has been a MVP caliber player for their squad, Silver deserves a lot of respect for what he does in their games and for what he did in that game. In terms of drawing a lot of pressure, I say pressure, he didn't really draw a lot of pressure in that people were dealing with him throughout the game, but it was pressure that he generated in the game just by being the Yorick who was left to his own devices. And hopefully GA will only have to learn that lesson the hard time one time about leaving a Yorick unattended. The Glacier Ascent, they've grabbed the Seraphine here, so that might signal that they want to go Seraphine Ash, and they just want to make sure that they're able to at least lock down the Seraphine half of that one. BP haven't necessarily shown that they want to pick it, but they will deny that combo away from Glacier Ascent, and they can look to pick themselves up an Enchanter or even a hard CC champion like a Leona. A Nautilus would be great. Braum off the board because it was played that last game. They could pair it with an Enchanter. They could pair it with Lulu. They could pair it with a Soraka if they so chose. They could pair it with Melio. They could go with another hooking champion. And nope, they are instead just going to hover that Melio. I expect them to fully lock that in. It's a really good combo along with Ashe. It's a lot of poke, and it's pretty good sustain in the lane. And so it's kind of the best of both worlds, where you get the healing, but then also you get decent like slowdowns with his kickball, which is nice. GA, the question is, how do they want to adapt now? Ooh, I don't like this at all. If they go Seraphine Sona in that bot side, you are giving up a tremendous amount of damage. If you do this, you will have decent poke and sustain, but you are looking at a potentially rough team fight. Okay, 2 immobile support-heavy champions now in the bot side. If that's Seraphine is a flex to mid, potentially that saves this draft. But for GA, I'm now really concerned about this bot side because you choose any champion that has an easy time ganking, like a Xin Zhao or a I'm trying to think of something else that would have an easy time ganking. Like, I mean, even a Mumu would have an easy time ganking this. A Sejuani would be great. Even a Viego would be great. A Zehen would also be fine. Vi would be great. There are a lot of really good, easy, hard CC engaged champions that you are now going to have to deal with, even with the double ultimates in that bot lane. So I think they need to pivot the Seraphine over to the mid lane, as bad as that would suck, and try and get a hard AD champion, because I think if they commit to this double AP bot lane, I think they're going to get in a lot of trouble, especially with a Dr. Mundo now drafted. And so BP, regardless of whether or not Seraphine Sona goes to the bot lane, that Mundo's going to get a tremendous amount of value just being able to deny the CC change. You're going to have to really hard commit a lot to lock him down if you're Glacier Ascent right now. The only question for BP right now is whether or not they want to send that Mundo towards the jungle or the top side. The top side bans that they're throwing out here won't necessarily mean that they're trying to put Mundo on the top side. It might just mean that they want to deny easy answers for Glacier Ascent. I'm also curious where that Jax will go. We don't see it in the jungle a lot. It is still technically a possibility. The champion does have the ability to rotate through camps fairly easily, and obviously skirmishing power is really nice into any champion you might play against it. But I honestly do expect it to go towards the top side. My other question for BP as we get ready to see the final bans is, what do they want, what priority do they want to give last pick to? Do they want to give it to Death Star, or do they want to give it to Silver? I think either is fine, depending on what you see from 4-5 here on Glacier. Is Orianna going to be the takeaway there by BP? They don't want QWERTY having access to that champion, which signals that they might be trying to play something a little bit more mid lane centric. Champions that are available there, Ahri, Mel, 2 of our most popular picks there. Trying to think of anything else. Fizz is not a champion we see a lot of, but that would be a good ban for the Orianna in terms of wanting to play that. Akali is still available as well. Ryze, Zed, also champions that we've seen from time to time. Yasuo, we started to see come out a little bit more within the division. Not sure we'll see a Yasuo here. It's BP. I think they want to lock in some reliable magic damage here. The Mordekaiser is going to be given over to Silver in that top side, and so now this makes the job for Glacier Ascent very difficult, because no matter what you pick into that Mord, it's probably going to be a losing matchup unless they want to go something like the Gnar, which I think would be good. They also could try and go the Urgot if they want to just go full skill matchup, but I think no matter what, I think Silver's just going to have command of that lane. They gave over the Mordekaiser, and it's really difficult to beat him on that champion. Also want to see if GA are going to flex the Seraphine over to the mid lane, as Olaf's going to be the pickup there in the jungle. No, actually, it might be an Olaf top lane. That would be a decent answer to the Mordekaiser, making sure that he doesn't get ulted right away. You can pop that Unstoppable and just try and 1v1 the Mordekaiser in the Death Realm. That would be a very big gamble, given how good Silver has been the entirety of this series, but it's not the worst gamble. Just trying to open up some interesting draft possibilities. It could also be a decent answer to the Dr. Mundo, as Olaf doesn't really care about that CC shield, just being able to reset the axes. And yep, that's going to be the Seraphine flex over to the mid lane. I think GA had to make that change. It might have been their intention from the beginning to do that, but I think if their intention was to have Seraphine and so on that bot side, I think with what BP drafted, I think they realized that they weren't going to be able to get away with that. I can't say that that was their intention, but that's my read on it. And so Kog'Maw going to be the answer there. I'm worried about that Kog'Maw, though. In the late game, it's a big threat. Ooh, Death Star. Oh, lock it in, buddy. You've been playing confidently so far. Yeah, baby, there we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got ourselves a Zed game. And it's been a team effort. You know, don't get me wrong, like Death Star and Silver definitely standout players here, but everybody on this team has been a massive part of their success. Baby Josh. Sorry, not Baby Josh. No, yes, Baby Josh. I was going to deny Baby Josh being a big part of this, but honestly, he has been. But Baby Josh and Jarrell also having games. I mean, multiple people on this team have won an MVP. Right now, I kind of know where I'm leaning, where as far as this MVP is going to go for today. But, you know, Silver might have a bad game. Someone else might get a chance. Silver, you got to let somebody else have a chance. Death Star, you got to let somebody else have a chance to get an MVP. As they're both going to watch this and say, no, I don't. I can steal all the MVPs. Aw, polite. They're very cutely channeling recalls. I hate it. Beat each other up for my amusement and for the amusement of the fan. Oh, interesting. Okay, I just realized this is, in fact, going to be the double AP bot lane for GA. And they will just have Kog'Maw, Qwerty on that Kog'Maw in the mid lane. I gotta tell you, I don't think that's a great idea, and I think they're gonna not be around in this game long enough to regret that. I think it'll be fun for the first 5 or 6 minutes where Qwerty gets to bully Death Star on that champion. And then once Death Star reaches level 6 and gets either Hubris or Youmuu's or something like that, I think he's gonna massively regret that decision. I think it should have been in the Seraphine in that mid lane, and I think that this was I think the wrong call for GA. No disrespect. You know, even if this champion is played well in the mid lane, I think this wasn't a good idea, and I think they're probably not going to be happy with the outcome. But we'll have to see what Qwerty can do, because it's not the champion, it's the person piloting it, and anything can happen, especially once junglers get involved. But my God, it's going to be a task to keep this Kog'Maw alive. And also, Qwerty not taking that teleport means that you're just full gambling that you're going to be able to have control over the mid lane, and that you are in fact not going to die super quickly, because if he gets ganked early and has to blow both of those summoners, even assuming he lives, when he recalls, it's not going to be very fun. It's going to be a long walk back to that mid lane. And so not having teleport means that if you go down and you get the minion wave pressured against you, you're kind of on the back foot for a long time. As Baby Josh going to use the heal to get on top of Arya, and this is what we were talking about, that 2v2 in the bot side. BP wasting no time bullying those AP champions who just don't have the wave clear, at least not early. Emilio even able to answer some of that healing that both the Sona and the Seraphim will bring out. You can keep that Ashe topped up. And so I think that's the other part of this too, where we're talking in terms of us talking about the Kog'Maw in that mid lane is, you know, you're trading a potential CS advantage and a potential pressure advantage in that mid lane, and you are risking losing the game off your bot lane, which I think a lot of people will agree and I think have recognized that that bot lane is super, super important. In terms of the overall effect on the game, and a losing bot lane can just lose you, lose you the game. A losing mid lane doesn't necessarily guarantee you'll win the game, because there's ways to recover from that. But bot lane, because there is so many champions there, because it has so much access to the Dragon Pit, which is way more valuable than the Rift Herald and the Grubs. You know, you losing that lane, it starts to become really bad. Robs, oh, this might be very, very bad for him. He's channeling the Ghost, but nowhere to go. Silver first blood. Threw down the Ignite to make sure that Olaf fell. Silver, he's just been allowed to do whatever he wants. And Dread Joker, he has the blue buff. Silver, don't give it over. He wants to see if he can waste his time. He is going to get the grass scout. Was waiting to see if he could get Hacker to come in. Oh, the Counter-Strike not going to land. Silver with the masterful performance. The master bait is Hacker. Now, wants to try and see if he can land another cleaver. Dread Joker does dodge it, but did have to blow Flash. Ooh, and And Silver playing on thin margins there. Looked like maybe he had bitten off just a little bit more than he could chew, but he did, in fact, not. He knew what he was doing. And pull out a calculator and pull out a math and answer a math question for that one because the Silver did a good job there. Ooh. That sucks as Arya. She's trying to walk up and at least get something down on the Ashe, and it's just not happening. Jarl's like, cool start, bro. I'm going to auto you, and then once I get 3 of these, I'm going to channel my Q, and you're going to be very sad. This mid lane matchup right now, not going too badly for Death Star. He's keeping the CS even. QWERTY, this is what we're talking about. You may have that auto attack range, but Death Star has the ability to poke you out. Excuse me as I burped. He has the ability to poke you out with the clone and the Shurikens. They do quite a bit of damage. So you gotta be careful. Those aggression traits, because if he gets to about half, given the fact that Death Star has Ignite, if he gets to half health, he's just dead. Like, there's nothing he can do. Deathmark plus Shurikens plus clone auto attack damage plus Ignite equals dead. Right now, a very, very quiet early game from the junglers. Neither have been getting heavily involved in the lanes. Of course, there hasn't been much opportunity for them as Silver just kind of had Rob's number. There's really nothing he could do about it. And really, it was just a Hacker coming up there to, you know, provide a little bit of emotional support, make sure that his top lane didn't die. And Hacker has 6 now, and as long as he has 6, Robs cannot step too close to that wave, or he will get got by the scary man that wants to put him in the death realm. Wants to send him with a one-way ticket to Brazil. And I think the side effect with the lane switches that GA decided to make with these champions is they're going to be behind in prio a little bit as compared to BP. They're not going to have an easy time. All right, Death Star, he's seeing a kill here. QWERTY did immediately flashed out, hasn't used the exhaust yet. Death Star going to take the clone back over. Now, QWERTY wants to try and see if he can get a little bit extra trade damage, but neither going down in that mid lane. The ultimate and the Ignite committed there for Death Star. Didn't walk away with something, but we'll just be happy to get the flash out of the Cockmaw. And so we'll be fairly immobile for the next couple minutes, and that might signal the Hacker to come over there as Death Star gets exhausted underneath the turret, flashed out. QWERTY not able to get the last auto attack. Hacker walks away with the kill, having no flash means you can't get away from the turret. And he will drop in that mid lane, all that investment made just for the little bug champ to drop. I don't think BP favors themselves trying to go get a dragon right now, at least not before they take a recall. But that's that pressure that we were talking about. And now Cockmaw with no summons means that he's going to be super vulnerable for the next couple of minutes. There's really nothing he can do to stop a gank if he pips too far forward. Robs is going to go CC immune, but it doesn't matter if you're already in the Death Realm. In order to avoid going into the Death Realm, you'd have had to pop that at exactly the same time Silver channeled that ultimate. So I'm not really sure what he was waiting for. I guess maybe he was just thinking, let's see if I can out-trade him. But the answer to that question is no. No, you cannot out-trade the Mordekaiser, who already has a CS and an itemization advantage level. Itemization advantage over you in his part of the world. And now Rob's, I'm really concerned for this Olaf. Not gonna lie. I think this is gonna be very, very difficult for him for the rest of the game. You know, you pick a champion like Olaf, trying to play aggressively, expecting that you're gonna get a lead, but it's really difficult to do against a champion like Mordekaiser because he has the ability to out-trade you. Like, even if you're landing the undertow, it just doesn't really matter. Mordekaiser doesn't care. He's just gonna passively burn down your health. And so I think now, like, Rob's gonna struggle to stay or even become relevant in this game. You know, because in terms of targets you're trying to get on top of, you're really going to have a difficult time getting on top of the Ashe if they are Johnny on spot with the Crystal Arrow. And now QWERTY, he doesn't necessarily know that this gank is happening, but the wave is pushing into him, so should just be able to play towards the turret. Let's see if they get spotted out. As Rob's, for some reason, potentially starting up these grubs. And Dreadjoker is walking over. How long does Hacker want to sit here? QWERTY's going to walk over. They should know that these are being taken. Hacker needs to be careful of his positioning. One's already been taken. They'll surely get 2, but now the pings are coming down. This is going to be a 3-on-3. Dreadjoker slays the final grub. They get out. Flash 4 from Silver. Grabs 1. So Chana Crystal Arrow is going to go past with the uprights, but Silver just does way too much freaking damage. He's traded in the end, but it just doesn't matter. This will be 3 kills in the top side. Dread Joker falls. So does QWERTY Cube. It's a double kill, actually, in the end. Sorry for Dread Joker, as he does manage to take down both Silver and Death Star, but it doesn't matter. Still the kill advantage over for BP. And GA, yes, they did get the grubs, but they gave a lot over for it. That Riley's Crystal Scepter going to be completed for Silver, and so now if you get tagged by any of his damage, by any of his abilities, it's going to be much harder to get away from him. And BP, they have very good control. Flash, try and cleanse immediately out of the Encore. As the Crescendo not yet committed. Baby Josh doing a really good job to keep Jarrell healthy. That was an instant flash to try and confirm that ability. It did land, but the cleanse was committed. And so got to safety. Huge attempted play there, and a lot expended by Glacier, who now won't have the ultimate or that flash. And Hacker, that might be the flashing neon sign that he needs. Oh, Silver. Oh, Robs, where are you going? Silver can just pursue you underneath the turret. Nowhere to go. One more smash is going to do it. Dread Joker's going to get there just in time to see his top laner fall, who can do nothing about it. Can't even really fight Silver. It's a 2-level disadvantage here. Itemization disadvantage. Dread, don't get too close to that Mordekaiser. He would love to take you to Brazil as well. Remember, we can fly the whole team out for these rates. And now for GA, it's starting to go from bad to worse in this early game. And this is just not the draft I think that you really wanted if you're trying to go at least even in this series with BP. This is just not the way to get it done. And now Silver just back to winning ways after that small little skirmish on the top side. Collecting plates, collecting kills. He's got a 1.8 gold lead. That is more than the entire gold lead of GA everywhere else in the game. In fact, it's more than triple their gold lead. That's how disgustingly ahead Silver is right now. 4, 1, and 2 already on the Mordekaiser. I mean, it's just... And at that point, it's GA. It's like, what do you do? It's like, don't send anybody else up there to gank him. You're just going to have to now make your peace with the fact that he's ungovernable. Like, he can do what he wants. Do what he wants. As I'm interrupted, Dread Joker is going to get stunned up by the Crescendo and has nowhere to go. Counter-Strike going to lock him in place and will drop. So at least the ADC for BP gets knocked down. Death Star got close to the turret trying to get that ultimate down on top of QWERTY, but does walk on out of there. A fair amount of damage put down. The exhaust also saving him a little bit as QWERTY getting tagged up by the Shadow Clones and the Shurikens. And Hacker wanted to see if maybe there was an angle to knock him down a little bit further, but not going to be able to. The Dragon was taken by GA, so... Or sorry, no, the Dragon was taken by BP. There will be Dragon spawning for GA to take here shortly. All right, so for GA, you're losing the top side. That's really a condition that's not going to change for a while. It's going to be very difficult to affect that lane now without taking significant losses somewhere on the map. So I think now you make the call to just shift your focus somewhere. I think you just abandon this top side and make your peace with Silver. Basically getting anything and everything that he wants. Especially now that it's a 3-level difference between Silver and Robs. My God. And I think you make your peace with that. Instead, you just look to try and continue to play towards this bot side, because that's really the only way you get back in this game right now. I think that this Olaf is kind of just out of this game for the foreseeable future. He's really behind on items. Doesn't even have a completed item yet. Doesn't even have completed tier 2 boots yet. Oh, nice flash and a nice encore. Powered over from Glacier. It did tag through the minion wave. But both surviving so far. But that's going to mean that Jarrell's got to be very, very careful stepping forward now, as doesn't have the flash, or at least didn't have to blow a summoner, because, well, obviously he didn't have it. But these wombo combos starting to land. Arya flashing forward yet again, but didn't know that the Hacker was here. Uh-oh! May have been a little bit more he wanted to chew. As the Hacker not getting CC down, and now he can run everyone else down. And Chana Crystal Arrow lands onto Glacier. Nowhere to go. Gets killed by the Ninja with the skills. This isn't like Speed Racer. It's not a Ninja. It's a Ninja. He's got plenty of damage for everybody. And a great rotation call by BP. An opportune timing for Hacker, who was there. He was just waiting for that opportunity. And now, Dread, QWERTY's going to have to try and walk his way out of this with Death Star doing a really good right now to put the damage in. Ignite going to come down. A couple autos would do it. Flash for Flash. One more auto secures it. Death Star, he won't be able to get the kill here with the clone because he didn't absorb another auto attack. And Death Star putting his own mark of the game. 2, 1, and 4 on the Zed. And I'm so glad we're seeing a Zed that's not losing, because it would have been so depressing to see an actual, honest to God, AD champion being played in the mid lane, and to see it lose would have been turbo depressing. Not regular depressing, not kind of depressing, turbo depressing. Like the kind that you need 5 therapists for, and then the kind that your insurance cuts you off for, because like, hey man, this is too much therapy. You gotta go do something else. That's how sad I would have been if we were having a very bad Zed performance. So thank you, Death Star, for giving us yet again more hope that we can see 80 mid-champions. Because I think, honestly, honest to God, I think Zed is a gateway drug for Akshan. I really do. I think if you can get away with playing Zed, you can get away with playing Akshan. Especially if you can predict something like a Kog'Maw getting played. Like, the next time there's a Kog'Maw, play an Akshan. I want to see how that matchup goes. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, 80 melee champions are good, but what about some 80 ranged champions? Which, you know, I know Kog'Maw counts as technically an 80 ranged champion, but, you know, it's not the same. It's not the same, chat. It's not the same. I do want to give a shout out to Glacier and Arya doing a really good job in stabilizing this bot lane. And obviously some of that's come off of the reward that they've gotten from getting a gank, which is very helpful. They're doing a decent job in just staying even. Obviously that last play was not very favorable for them. Wasn't very fun. But they've done a good job to at least create those opportunities for those ganks. And so they're doing a really good job in keeping Jarrell and Baby Josh in check, which is really all you can ask for, given the fact that they were just kind of starting from a massive draft disadvantage. And they might have some other additional opportunities to make plays, as Dredge is going to go ahead and pick up that Rift Herald. Oh, Jenna Crystal Arrow funneled in the bot side. That's going to be Encore, at least onto 2, but Arya is still passively dying. Hacker manages to land the final Cleaver. Uh-oh, Glacier not safe underneath this turret. Really know where to go. The question is, do BP want to make this a bigger issue? They can look to move this wave in. But nope, they will instead allow Glacier to live and focus their attention on this dragon. No early first turret going down to either team. I do think, though, that GA should have that opportunity to make that play, given the fact that they have more damage, or quite a bit of damage towards this mid lane turret, and they can look to channel the Herald there. But they're going to have to find a good time to do it, because the dragon just got taken, which means you have to save it. You're going to want to save it for when you have an opportunity to get the most out of it. And so right now, it's not now. They want to wait until they have a little bit more rotations through the map. He's coming down there. Ooh, do they favor a gank onto Qwerty? This would be really aggressive. Hacker's going to try and cut off the rotation. Death Star was eating quite a bit of that turret, and his Shadow Clone location is still underneath that turret, but they have enough people, they have enough bodies underneath the turret, and so they will just kill the immobile AD mid laner. They're going to walk away with a nice little kill, some gold in their pockets, and not being too hard done by. Is GA, though they did decide to make that play towards the bot side to knock that turret down, as the Herald was channeled there, so they at least get that gold. And so now they can try and utilize some of this open map, at least towards that bot side, to make some plays. They'll have an easier time setting up for Drac now, too. But right now, I think that's kind of just a small consolation, given the way that this game has been going. It's a little bit more contentious over the last couple minutes, but I think largely a lot of that is due to the fact that Silver just hasn't been involved. And I think once he starts to rotate through there and become an active participant in these team fights, you're going to start to see GA feel a little bit more uncomfortable. And Glacier and Arya, I want to see them try and combine staggered CC right at the perfect moments to make sure that they lock down multiple members. I want to see Encore into an aggressive crescendo just to get that full CC timing to lock down champions like the Sash and the Zed. But Zed's really not the champion you want to be focusing primarily. Zed should just be a happy afterthought if you do manage to land CC. Because if you try and lock down the Zed, I think you're going to become really sad. So I'm not sure why we're congregating on the top side here. 4 strong for both teams. It's Qwerty left to deal with Death Star on the bot side. And I think right now for GA, you can kind of feel how tentative they are in some of these plays that they're looking at and some of these looks that they're getting into where BP is positioning. They're cognizant of the fact that BP are more than happy to hit the go button on a team fight, and I think that they're just trying to find their opportune moment. Is GA to get a fight that's favorable for them, And they want to do it away from Silver. They want to get a 5v4 away from Silver if they can get it. Which is difficult even at the best of times. And even if they do get the 5v4, or even just a 4v4 away from Silver, there's really no guarantee that they'll win it. As Hacker and Death Star have been doing a really good job of focusing the right targets in these small skirmishes. As Qwerty not going to be left to deal with Death Star. A couple more autos would put him within kill range, and it's the execution for the BP middle laner in that bot side, as Qwerty can just do nothing about it. Didn't even need the Mundo on that one, who was circling back behind the Kog'Maw just to make sure he didn't get away. Let's see. Ooh, let's see this Zed versus Jax matchup. Let's see how Death Star, how frisky he's feeling to deal with Dread Joker. It's a 2-level lead for the Zed, but that Jax does quite a bit of damage with the Trinity Force. And already has the drill in the back pocket as well. And all has gone quiet on the Rift for a little while in terms of big team fights. As both the teams, they're just staring at each other a little bit. They're just waiting to see who wants to be gutsy enough to make the next move. And I think for BP, the next move is they want to get this top tower as a trade for the one in the bot. And open up this map a little bit for themselves. Jarrell and Baby Josh need to be careful. This is an aggressive fight so far, but neither Arya or Glacier have kindled the ultimate. They do so now, but doing a really good job. Nice crescendo, but Glacier does get slain underneath the turret, and now Arya may not be healthy either. Hacker is going to take up the turret. They've got plenty of damage for the Sona and the Seraphine. That AP bot lane that was in the mid lane just gets taken down. 2 quick kills. And BP, they weren't happy with the sound of silence. And they're saying, "Have you met Darkness, my old friend? If not, we'll introduce him to you." And that was a very unfriendly introduction to the gray screen. And now GA, things just not being fun. Oh, Qwerty. Oh, buddy. This is just not what you want. Yeah, even the explosion here is not going to do enough. It's just, it's cute. It's a good try, but yeah, this Kog'Maw is being punished exactly as hard as I thought it was going to be. 0, 6, and 2. And GA, I think they're going to have a big conversation about that pick and how that draft went after this series is over, because my God, was that not the answer. I think they would have had way more success if they'd have put the Seraphine in the mid lane. And, you know, you don't want to beat a team up about this. You don't want to harp on it, but it's really one of those risks that you can't take against a team like BP. You have to find something, like if you're going to make a niche pick or, you know, try and make a risky decision, you got to do something that makes a little bit more sense in terms of how you want to play. And I think they kind of just got stuck with a bad draft decision and we're trying to make the best of it, but I think even then this really just wasn't the best way to handle it. So result of that is going to be that they are 6,000 gold down. They're 3 dragons down as BP moves to Draxol, and Robs is now going to try and get his way out of this one. Flashes over the wall. Silver flash for flash. Is this going to be the powered blast cone? I think Robs is dead no matter what there, though, because the rotation's coming through for BP. And with Rob's no more ultimate, it will be hard-pressed to follow up. Jarrell trying to get away from Dread Joker, who did a good job throwing the counter-strike. Baby Josh keeping him healthy, and now they can start to turn this around as the campfire is activated. Robs gets the Selene Silver, puts Dread Joker into the Shadow Realm and says, there will be no follow-up onto my ADC. You're going to Brazil! And slays him where he stands, and now GA, they're just going to have to sit and watch as Baggy Pampers, they're going to go grab themselves a Baron, going 3 for 3 on drags and 4 for 4 overall. And those neutral objectives, really 4 for 6 because they did lose the Herald and the Grubs. Even Qwerty's not going to be allowed to stay on this map as the damage just too good. Look at the plays, look at the moves. Death Star goes unstoppable. Doesn't even allow him to get the passive damage. Doesn't even let him think he might get that kill. And my God, BP. It's unfreaking believable how strong this team is. Good teams, bad teams, no teams, hell, even ghost teams. They're looking fantastic on the Rift. And Glacier just being a rude dude, running down 2 AP bot laners who could do really nothing to stop him. He's just going to escort them out of their side of the jungle. And now I think for GA, you're really running out of options. And you're going to be hard-pressed to find solutions because you don't have answers to really anybody on the side of BP right now. You don't really have an answer to Silver. You certainly don't have an answer to Death Star, who's just been allowed to kill your squishiest member 7 times basically in a row. You don't have an answer to the Hacker, who's just able to deny every bit of CC you're throwing out. And the attempt on Glacier has been decent in terms of trying to knock down that damage from the Ash, but really, Jarrell has not been the person that they've had to be worried about the most. As Qwerty, yep, not even safe underneath this tier 2 turret, just gonna die. Hacker tanks up the turret for Death Star, who collects the kill. Is good guy jungler, making sure that that gold goes over the solo laner. We appreciate junglers that are generous that way, don't we, chat? Don't we appreciate that kind of stuff? Viewers on YouTube watching the VOD, don't we appreciate that? I know that I certainly do. My carry's getting a lot of gold. When you've got carries like Death Star and Silver, you're more than happy to make that trade. And the rest of BP right now, living life. Ooh, nice tag on the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Glacier tried to sidestep it. Ooh, nice. Ooh, nice encore in return, but Jarrell happy to chase it underneath the turret a little bit and does force both of those AP bot laners away from that turret. Because now Death Star, he's going to follow up where Jarrell began. Arya pops to the passive damage from the ultimate. The death mark is enough to clear it away. And now they're going to look to clear away this inhibitor, or sorry, rather this tier 2 tower, and look to get the inhibitor tower. And this gold lead is absolutely disgusting. As GA, about 5 or 6 minutes ago, they were at a 34,000 gold mark, and they have not left that gold mark. They are still under 40. Meanwhile, it is about 11k gold lead for BP, and that's kind of the gold lead that you start to not recover from. And we're not at the state in the game where you could say, oh, gold doesn't matter, because gold very much matters right now. And GA are feeling the crushing weight of it being applied to their backs as BP continue to just swing money bags at them. This fight is not as bad as it looks, as Glacier is going to buy himself just a little bit of time. He's going to knock down the Seraphine, who just gets killed. Now, reinforcements are arriving for the side of GS, but Silver has the shielding. He has his passive going, doing so much damage. Still not dying. Uses the grass to pull people away, but eventually gets shut down. Only for the second time this game. Silver commanding such a presence and demanding those answers. Uh-oh, Dread Joker. Oh, it's not your jungle, buddy. You can't go in there. Oh, no, Qwerty. He's going to die for his sins. Oh, God. Oh, no. The hacker going to flash forward to help Jarrell secure that kill. Oh, and even a momentary reprieve is not going to last very long. So Death Star, he fancies himself a kill on the Robs, and in fact gets it. As he's a legendary. Dread Joker not safe either. And Death Star making it very difficult for me to want to give this player of the Silvers over to Silver. Making it hard. MVP at caliber performances from both of these players. And the game's not over yet, but my God, does it start to feel like it. As the dragon is going to spawn here in about the next 5 seconds. GA, if they're going to try and get close to this dragon, they're going to be harassed all the way. There's not time for BP to go take a recall. But given the fact that he just claimed an inhibitor in the mid lane, it should be easy for them to secure this. There's really not going to be an opportunity here for GA, as they still have Rob's dead. And so unfortunately, GA, with everything that they've been losing across the map and with the pressure they've been under, means that they're going to be confined to their base and forced to watch this Drag Soul go down, and now this game just becomes almost impossible for them to win. Dread Joker gets the counter-strike, but goes into the GA, unfortunately a little too long to make something of it. And Death Star gets a little bit of help from Jerome, but didn't really need it. Was always going to secure that kill. And now with 5 alive, they're going to start to siege down towards this bot side. They're going to stack. I like this 4 stack for them in this mid lane. They can just let Silver start to push this wave in the top side and meet up with them. They can rotate over and help him take that turret if he does need it. And with the man advantage, they're not too worried about this. I do expect Qwerty to recall here soon. You can't continue to press that wave for too long. You're going to start to lose too much stuff. And yep, now that recall is going to come out. Oh, the Encore channeled on top of Death Star, but does get a little bit of a cleanse coming out and stays healthy. A lot committed to the Zed just to not get him. And Death Star gets the ultimate on a Glacier, who does get killed. Is the double kill out for Glacier, who steals it away from Death Star. That's a little bit rude. You didn't need to take that away, Qwerty. He's just immediately going to go into the stasis, but Silver lock him into the death realm. Qwerty goes down due to Death Star. Oh, man. Dread Joker tried to live as long as he could in the death realm, but BP, they're going to make sure they get all the kills. They're going to make sure they get all the turrets. And they traded their mid lane for it, but it's an ace for BP to close out the game. Another 2-0 finish for them, their 4th different opponent. They are in sole control of first place. They were sole control of this series, and from start to finish, they didn't let up. And Baggy Pampers, a 4-0 series, or sorry, a 4-0 series record, and get another 2-0 win. All right, hello everybody, and welcome back. Zoop, I'm going to fix my camera here for a second. That was pointed the wrong direction. I am with Silver, the victorious top laner from the BP versus GA series. You guys are on a 4-0 streak. You are undefeated even in game matches. Silver, how are you feeling?
Well, this is just to be expected. Yeah, we just prepped. We were ready. We were ready for this. So
Yeah. Some might even say
no
that
no surprise there.
Yeah, some might even say that y'all were built for this. But I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, I think you guys probably expected that you were going to be in a good position, given the way that the division was going to shake out in terms of y'all's relative strength. But are you guys even still a little bit surprised that y'all haven't dropped even a game so far in any of y'all series, or do y'all truly believe that this was always the way it was going to go?
Well, I'll spill some beans from the past. We did a scrim against Glacier before
Mm-hmm.
the league started, and they did win the scrim. So
Mm,
we had hopes. We had hopes that we would feel something, but things happened and we didn't lose. So
yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, let's focus on this series. So, obviously, in game one, I think it was fairly even drafts for both sides. I think all of y'all got everything that y'all would have wanted in terms of your draft, both you and GA. Walk me through what y'all were thinking in terms of how y'all wanted to play out that game, and did it meet expectations, or did y'all have to kind of adapt?
So yeah, I mean, so the draft itself, so yeah, like Glacier won the coin toss and they picked the red, which we would of course prefer red side.
Sure.
So yeah, we just prepped for Jarvan on one. Like to be honest, we expected maybe like Wukong to be banned or something, so we didn't even try to plan draft around it this time.
Mm-hmm.
So they let him have it if they can do whatever. The biggest thing like we're thinking like maybe they'll play Smolder or something, but they didn't. We always had backup for that. Um, but yeah, we kind of expected the Corki Nami or Corki Nico or something like that. So we just kind of wanted to pick safe. We wanted to pick Braum Israel, which can play into pretty much anything. Depends, doesn't matter what they'll draft, so we'll just be
Sure.
ready for it. And then yeah, we wanted to prioritize the top. Like I wanted to have a comfortable pick. Yeah, so they did ban my Scion, which just to let you guys know, I would 100% play it if it
Yeah.
was up. So yeah, future teams, just ban the Scion. You don't have to deal with it.
um,
Um,
you brought up something
but
I
yeah,
want
the
to.
Malphite pick. The Malphite pick was kind of like big thing for us. Like
Yeah.
like we were like Malphite pick, no silence ban. Come on, guys.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you because you brought up obviously getting that solid pick in the top side, but y'all were on blue, so you were always going to get or was expecting to, I think, to get counterpicked at some point. But did the Malphite like surprise you that they locked that in? Kind of
Big
towards the
time.
end. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that
big time
something? Is that a
because
matchup that you're worried about, or is that like something like, oh, you should never
it's
play that into Yorick?
I am not worried about the matchup. So let's just say I wasn't planning on picking Yorick. I was planning on playing something else. Obviously they banned my Mordekaiser, but I was planning on like playing, let's say maybe Shen or Cassante or something that just hard to
Like
like counter or
Gnar?
just destroy and like yeah,
Yeah.
just something like that. But whenever they picked Malphite, that just made things easy,
Mm,
like very easy because one, Silas blind just it's fine then because with teamfight is great, and then Yorick's really good into Malphite, which we knew that Yorick is one of the champions he also played.
mm-hmm.
So just on top of that, for game two, taking that option away is nice, especially that Mordekaiser is one of my top picks, right? So and Yorick's good into it, and he plays Yorick, you get the thing.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. As a final question on that first game, were you surprised that you were left alone that long in that 1v1 matchup, given that they had the Malphite and they had the ability to kind of bring more CC, with the Wukong? They could have applied a little bit more pressure, but you were, I mean, left alone for a long time.
So I think yes and no. So I always had that thought in mind that they should shut me down because Yorick is not Mordekaiser. He cannot just like
Yeah.
basically like a 1v1 that just like I choose who to fight. So yeah, I was kind of surprised, but that they didn't act on anything. But also to be fair, I did keep Malphite pressured all the time, and I tried to get him low at the right time. So it was basically just I think awkward for them to
Mm-hmm.
try to act on it, because worst case worst, like I just walk away. I just have to like I had that side always checked. Hacker kept track of Wukong really well. And since they are really like focused around mid bot, like we basically just saw them all the time, right? That just basically gave me a free hand.
Yeah.
And once they pulled the trigger on Dragon, I just managed to just take the whole top side. It was just like I'm in heaven, guys. You
Yeah.
know, I'm in heaven.
Speaking of being in heaven, we're going to switch over to game number 2 because that was interesting in a lot of ways. What was y'all's reaction to GA's draft? Because my thinking when I saw that double AP bot lane was, this is really not good in the bot lane. And then when they locked in Cog and saw it was mid, I was like, oh, that was the wrong answer.
Yeah. I mean, I was well. I don't know, man. Like Seraphine Sona bot that I don't know. We thought it's like vegan as hell. It was just it was weird. We're not fans. We were not fans of that because like you end up like you have a choice with those two. Like you can play the fight. If it goes well, they can bully, but they can also just sit on their turret. Disgusting.
Yeah.
Like we didn't like that whatsoever.
Yeah. But Jarrell and Baby Josh seemed to do a pretty good job of absorbing it. Were they concerned at all when it got drafted in and like, oh, this is going to be annoying, but we'll handle it?
Yeah, I mean, so like let's just start from there. Like they picked Seraphine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, well, it's most likely just Seraphine Ash, right?
Yeah,
So
this
might
is
as well
what we were calling in
let
the
us play
stream.
Ash. As sad as it sounds, we're gonna put Josh on Milio, which he was not thrilled, but he did it. Yeah, I don't know. This is his
Relegated to babysitting
not his
job.
thing, man. Not
Relegated to
his thing, man.
babysitting job.
Yeah, no, this is fine. But yeah, the when they picked Sona, I mean, it's just we were like disgusted. I don't know.
When they locked in
Not fun.
when they locked in Cog, did y'all expect them to flex the Seraphine over to the bot lane, or did y'all think that they were going to keep it
The first com from this was that call goes mid. That
really?
was like
So
the
y'all
first
expected
comms.
it to go there?
Yeah. So that was like the first comms. But I think I asked or somebody asked like maybe he's actually bot and this is Seraphine mid, and we didn't think that. You know, like we didn't think that's gonna be the case.
Sure.
So, yeah, we the only thing that like Jax, we were saying that it could be flex right here or there. So that's why we like banned Ornn because we weren't sure, right? But they didn't ban Mordekaiser, so I was like, I think I can still play it. You know, like last second we just picked Mordekaiser because we were actually looking for a mid blind, but then we kind of shifted to Mordekaiser.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that was fine, but the Olaf pick is rough, man. That if you see me on the other side, just like I would pick Olaf too. You
Yeah.
know, like I'll just play Olaf. Olaf is great into Mordekaiser.
It didn't look
But
that
for
way. It did not look that way.
I think he just didn't practice enough, but it is kind of like free, you know. I got advantage before we got level 6, and he took bad trades when I already had level 6, and he
Sure.
like it just played it wrong.
Yeah.
But in reality, like yeah, no, this is a rough matchup. I was no, it's a great pick. It's a great pick.
So for
It's
every
just like
team
didn't play
listening to
it
this,
correctly.
if he drafts Mordekaiser and you actually know how to play Olaf and you know that matchup, he's giving away the draft secret. Draft the Olaf into his Mordekaiser. Silver has given you a free win.
No, do it, man. I dare you, brother. I dare you.
What if this
Just
is?
do it.
I choose to believe that this is like this matchup is actually horrible for Olaf, and instead this is the biggest psyop in the league of like, yeah, no, definitely play the Olaf to me. Meanwhile, it's like disgusting 60% win rate for Mordekaiser, and it's like, no, I promise it's winning, and then everyone picks it into you, and you just get free wins. It's the biggest
Oh yeah.
dupe in
Right.
the history of the league.
Guys, don't listen to this guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. No, just pick Olaf. It's a great
I don't
counter.
know. It smells a little fishy to me. And kind of on that note, just one last thing I want to cover for the second game before we end this out. Obviously, you have a fantastic team around you, Hacker. I mean, every single player on your team has at some point, carried the game or been a massive part of how you have won. Hacker, Jarrell, Death Star, Baby Josh. I mean, all of you guys. It seems to be that there's some good individual plays consistently throughout your games, but it's a team effort. Kind of walk me through what it's like to play with a team that does play this well.
Well, it feels great, right? I mean, everybody's feeling good when we're playing. Game one, we had some little trip ups, but nobody was feeling down about it, you know. Our AD carry screamed a bit on Josh, you know, and yeah, no. Everybody's great. It feels good to play with the team over here. We've been playing together for a while. I'm glad to have Hacker back on the jungle role because in a Bonanza tournament we had a sub for him,
Sure.
but that was our original jungle, so I'm glad to have him back. Death Star, it's the newest addition to the team, and I mean I don't need to say much.
Sure.
So yeah, no, it feels great. It feels great to pretty much have friends on the team instead of just like teammates at that point.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we're feeling very confident. I'm gonna say it. BBC, we're gonna take a big break here for a
Ah.
couple weeks, but right before the semis open, we're gonna have a game, and we might just expose some frauds. Um, we're gonna break that win streak of yours.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you next, is to kind of close this out. So obviously your remaining schedule, for those that are confused about them taking a couple breaks, is, BP, you guys, y'all played a bunch of matches this week, so that gives y'all a little bit of time to kind of relax before you have to schedule those matches, because everyone else kind of needs to catch up. But your remaining matchups, you have, obviously BBC will be your next match. That'll be big, depending on whether or not they stay. And then the Rose will be your last matchup. Still not expecting any challenge from BBC, or do you think maybe like, oh, that could be a close game, or are y'all very confident?
No, no. I mean, like we're confident. I think we're playing great. We're gonna prep a good draft, and we're just gonna play our game. I'm just gonna gap the top like always, and that's gonna be the case. That's gonna be the case. But on the real note, we did scrim in the past before Bonanza tournament with BBC.
Mm-hmm.
They played really good. They played really good. So I'm expecting same really good series against them. So. It would be really fun to have 3 games against them. Not that we're gonna drop a game on purpose, of course, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, that 3 game series against BBC is gonna be hype. So I'd be really down for that.
Awesome. Well, Silver, thank you so much for taking the time to give us an interview. Congratulations to you and your team. You guys are on a 4-0 win streak. You're on a 8-game win streak now. You haven't even dropped it. You guys are sitting at the top of the division. Very well earned. And so congratulations to you guys. And I can't wait to see y'all's next series versus BBC.
No, no, yeah, that's gonna be great. And can I get a shout
Yeah,
out? One shout
absolutely.
out.
Yeah, the floor is yours, man. Anybody you want to shout out, go right on for
Okay,
it.
okay. So the biggest shout out of them all goes to Alpha Breezy. This is my sub. He's been always ready, always on the standby, always cheering, helping with the practice. He's the G. He's
Shout out
he's
Breezy one
the
time.
he's the biggest shout out ever. Goes to Alpha Breezy, my my
Awesome.
my sub, my team. I'll say I love you later in the comps, but Alpha Breezy gets all now.
Awesome. All righty. Well, Silver, thank you so much for the interview. Go back, hang out with your team, and fantastic game. Appreciate you.
Awesome, thank you.